I was in the process of getting this ready to finish by spraying material, and I was looking at the materials that I had left over and decided it was time for a little bit of revision. So I went back into the plan set and modeled it a little bit differently to take advantage of the extra materials. This way we beefed it up. Secondly, when I originally designed this, I was not planning on putting a bottom shelf in here, but seeing as this has a lot of internal room, it only makes sense to take advantage of it. So what I've done is add a little bit more bracing. I have the crossbars running across the bottom now, and then I also have the triangles in the side. It adds a lot more structural integrity. I didn't really need it, but there's no sense not putting it in. And I've also moved this side, or used both sides, and added in the stiles there, which is going to split it into 3 panels on both sides, and so I can skin it with a material. Both of the ends are actually going to be either having doors or drawers. I haven't decided yet which is going in there, but we'll have full access to the interior of this. On the top part of it, I went ahead and added a center brace to the entire thing. So this runs the entire length, and it adds more support again. What this does is stops these boards from being able to flex, the cross braces, because they're all held in place by 2 screws and glue. It is recessed in there perfectly flush with the top, and as you can see, I've just not done a through dado on both the front and the back, so it looks nice and clean from the outside. It's definitely faster to do a through dado, and certainly faster to do this before it all gets installed, but after the fact, it's better to get it done than not get it done. So that's where I'm at right now, and it's going to look completely different here in a matter of hours. Yeah, I forgot to mention exactly what all this stuff is on here. I suppose you're wondering that. What I'm doing is I decided that I'm not going to dye this bottom like I originally intended. I was going to paint the top. I'm going to go ahead and paint the whole thing, but what I'm going to do is try and make it look like metal, not wood. So I want everything filled nice and leveled. So what I'm using is just some drywall spackling here. It's the heavy duty stuff, and I've gone through and just use liberal amounts to fill in any holes and any irregularities in the wood. And this is one side that I let dry and already sanded, so it's similar to just doing some auto body work where you're leveling everything. Even though it looks level, it's not entirely until you come back with a flat sander and just knock it all down. But this is really straight and smooth now. Also went on the insides of all this part on any of the places that you can see, and put it inside the edging of the plywood and sanded that smooth, so that it'll all appear very smooth once it's painted. I didn't mess with the middle or any parts that you're not going to see once I put down the floor or the top part on, but I am giving everything a quick little sand, and I'm definitely rounding over all the edges that would be able to touch. Again, not messing so much with rounding over the edges on any of the interior parts or anything that shouldn't be sanded at all. So that's what all that is. Alright, just wanted to show you what this looked like. The base has been painted now. I got 3 coats total on it. First coat was a real dry coat, just put on there so it would seal the wood. I didn't want to get any moisture in there from the paint. Second coat was a heavy coat, let it flash off, came back and sanded it, and then threw a nice top coat on it to make it nice and smooth. As you see, where I went ahead and filled it all, everything is nice and uniform. You got to get up really, really close to see any sort of joints, and worked out really good. And just to give you an idea, you can see inside the frame there where I did apply, all the sanding and the compound. It is nice and smooth, and if you look at any of the other plywood that is untouched, you can see all the plywood edges. So that extra step is going to go a long way to making it look a little bit nicer. Certainly not necessary, but it helps the overall look. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and get the panels cut out, spray those, get the top fully sanded, spray that, get it back assembled, and move on with this project. Alright, I thought I'd show you a little bit of spraying here. Anyways, with everything I do, I always start upside down if possible. I want to get the coat on there first, let it set up, flip it over, do the top. Top's the part you see. But it's important to get all sides covered. If you're trying to not let the moisture get in, just covering the top with paint isn't going to help. So here's the bottom, and I'll just walk you around so you get an idea of what it's going to look like. The main parts that I filled with the joint compound on this are this front part here, this front part here. These are going to be exposed even once the spoil boards are on, and basically just went through and rounded over only the edges that are going to protrude at all, so just the front and rears. But we'll go ahead and get spraying. I'll show you what a dry coat looks like. Keep in mind, see, I'm just applying it light enough to go ahead and seal the wood. We're going to seal it fully later, but this will allow, when we throw a heavy wet coat on top, that the moisture doesn't get in the wood and warp it at all. We're going to lock out the moisture. Alright, I was digging through scraps in the shop and I found this 1/8 inch hardboard. It's tempered, pretty smooth on both sides. I didn't know what I was going to use it for, but it's been sitting around here for years. So this is actually what's going to get broken down into the 6 panels that are going to go on the side of the base. I'm doing this right now while the top is drying. Get this broken down, go out there, scuff sand it, finish the top, then start on this. Then we're wrapped up for disassembly. But this is a good material choice as well, because if I'm going to put a shop vac and cyclone system down in the base, then this will help deaden the sound, because it acts like MDF in most ways, just a thinner version. So you could use this or plywood or leave it open, whatever you want to do. But this is the choice that I'm going with. Alright, all I'm doing right now is I'm using a piece of 150. I'm just coming by and just doing a scuff sand. I'm just knocking down any of the raised fibers. This is wood. I'm using a latex, water-based. It's going to raise the grain a little bit. Just got to scrub it a little bit, knock it down. If you take away some of the paint, don't worry, we're going to go back over it. And now I got it flipped back over. It's the top. So I'll go ahead and do that real quick. And again, I'm not messing with any of this interior stuff. I'm not going to bother sanding it at all, because you're not going to see it, you're not going to feel it. Just the stuff that you're going to feel. Alright, so here it is, partially assembled but painted. Still haven't decided what combination of doors and drawers I'm going to do yet, so I'm just going to probably leave that for the last part. I got to put the floor in, probably leave that for the last part. Just ready to go ahead and start building the whole Y-axis and Z-axis so I can get this thing up and operational. But of course, you know, something like this has to be done first. So been a long time coming, but it's looking real good. Should hold up pretty well too, and really pleased with how everything turned out. Paint came out real nice, solid. Everything's connected nice and tight, so from here on out should go pretty quick.